The most transformative leaders are those who lead from their hearts and not their heads. And on that note, I welcome you to Know Your Representative, the program that bridges the visible gap between lawmakers and their constituents. I am Maria Olasheinde. We'll take a short break. I'll be back soon. Stay with us. The task of the leaders is to get their people from where they are to where they've not been. How do we hold our leaders accountable in the business of lawmaking and representation?
The mandate that you have given to us is not abuse in any way.
The primary purpose of government is to ensure the welfare and security of the Nigerian people.
Constituency projects had noble intentions and they still remain the most veritable tool.
Do they really know their representatives at the states and national assemblies?
Our people, they don't have water, they are suffering. They only drink water from where rain fall.
For the current one, the 10th assembly, I don't really know who is in charge.
From the mountaintops to the deepest valleys, we're ready to go an extra mile just to show Nigerian your constituency project. Know Your Representative with Maria, bridging the visible gap. For Parliament to effectively fulfill its constitutionally assigned roles of lawmaking, representation and oversight, it is essential to adopt ethical standards and codes of conduct that promote transparency and accountability. In recognition of this need, the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies (NILDS) convened a one-day capacity building conference on Thursday, September the 19th, 2024. The conference, titled Capacity Building Conference on Ethics and Code of Conduct as Tools for Enhanced Legislative Performance and Good Governance, was specifically organized for members of the House Committee on Ethics and Privileges. The Director General of NILDS, Professor Abubakar Sulaiman, speaks on the essence of the Capacity Building Conference for lawmakers. He noted that the conference aimed to equip lawmakers with the necessary knowledge and tools to uphold ethical practices, ensuring that legislative processes are conducted with integrity in the best interest of the public.
As it provides an opportunity for members of the Committee on Ethics and Privileges of the National Assembly to engage in deep reflections and dialogue on how to strengthen the ethical framework guiding legislative conduct. The decision you make, the standard you uphold, and the behaviors you promote within this space will shape the reputations of National Assembly and, by extension, the overall perception of governance in our country. The effectiveness of our legislature, to a large extent, hinges on our commitment to ethical conduct. As members of the Committee on Ethics and Privileges, you are at the forefront of promoting transparency and accountability within our institutions. Your leadership is vital in ensuring that our legislative processes are not only transparent but also characterized by integrity and public trust. In a time when public confidence in government institutions is paramount, your role is more critical than ever. It is also important to emphasize that ethical orientations and the promotions of transparency within the legislature are not just internal matters for the National Assembly, but they are central to the broader project of national reformation, because good governance cannot thrive without a system where transparency and accountability are deeply entrenched. As such, today's gathering will contribute to the ongoing national dialogue on rethinking governance in Nigeria and ensuring that ethical leadership becomes the cornerstone of our democracy. By critically assessing the issues, challenges, and opportunities related to legislative ethics and privileges, therefore, we hope to chart a course for strengthening the ethical framework of the legislature. Furthermore, this capacity building initiative will empower members of the House to set new standards that will guide future generations of legislature in Nigeria. As we engage in critical discussion, therefore, let us remain focused on practical solutions that can be implemented to strengthen our institution. It is imperative that we emerge from this conference with actionable insights and a renewed commitment to ethical conduct, which will ultimately serve to enhance the legislative process in Nigeria. Your Excellency, in conclusion, I urge you all to actively participate in the discussion, share your insights, and consider the practical steps we can take to address the ethical challenges facing the legislature. The conference is not just about diagnosing problems, but also about identifying solutions and pathway forward.
The Chairman House Committee on Ethics and Privileges, Honorable Tolulokpe Shadipe, commended the Director General of NILDS for this program.
It is important that as we go forward, that we take those words I just pronounced and we imbibe them in our day-to-day activities. As we listen to the presentations and engage in discussions with our esteemed resource persons and panelists, let us all focus on actionable solutions that will further strengthen our legislature, that would put the 10th Assembly on the map of an assembly that was based on the platform of great ethics and the protection of privileges of not just our members, but of all Nigerians. Let us explore the challenges and opportunities surrounding the adoption of ethical standards and reflect on how we can create a more inclusive, transparent, and accountable parliamentary system. We will delve into the need for ethical reorientation, how strong ethical standards improve performance, and importantly, how we can collectively shape a better future for governance in Nigeria. By the end of the conference, I expect that we will not only have a deeper understanding of ethics and privileges, and they will no longer be mere words to us all, but a tool to implement the standards that will take us forward in our legislative work. We must embrace the shared responsibility of building a parliament that commands respect, fosters trust, and delivers results for the people we serve. In closing, I would like to once again thank NILDS for organizing this event and all the resource persons for their contribution to today's discussion. Your insights and experiences will undoubtedly enrich our understanding and inspire us to elevate our legislative practices.
The conference, which had in attendance members of the National Assembly and Minister of Information and National Orientation, represented by Malam Lanre Issa Onilu, Director General, National Orientation Agency, was officially declared open by the Speaker House of Representatives, Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin.
This one-day conference will achieve the desired result in deepening our familiarity with the hallowed concept of ethics and conduct, arguably two unassailable precepts necessary as building blocks of governance and realization of a great society. I will therefore take the liberty to broach ethics, which undergirds all we do and philosophically defines how we ought to do things without necessarily leaping into the academic space, as I seek to speak from a communication perspective. Ethics is a system of moral principles that includes ideas about right and wrong and how people should or should not behave in general and in specific cases. Moral principles is often seen as personal or normative, whereas ethics is the governing standard of good and bad behavior. Indeed, ethics is rooted in philosophy and is underscored by a code of conduct to aid best practices. In communications, ethics is simply the interchange of information in a manner that is accurate, truthful, and acceptable. As a one-time teacher and effervescent public relations practitioner, I am particularly hastened to state that so much of the pundits or otherwise of legislative outcomes is underscored by communication that is woven around ethical ways and means of messaging. Therefore, my earnest weighing in on this crucial subject will be to advance the adoption, or perhaps the adaptation, of the time-honored 7 C's in messaging as a persuasive mechanism in enhancing public believability of hard-fought and hard-won legislative outcomes. The 7 C's being messaging in the following ways: clear, concise, concrete, correct, coherent, complete, and courteous, undoubtedly lead to ethical leadership for public office holders.
Setting clear expectations for all members. The Committee on Ethics and Privileges occupies a strategic position within the House of Representatives. As outlined in the standing orders of the House, its mandate is to ensure, rather to enforce ethical standards and investigate complaints against members alleged to have breached the Code of Conduct. The committee plays a pivotal role in upholding the integrity of the House by ensuring that members adhere to ethical guidelines. To achieve its objectives, the committee must employ a variety of strategies, including proactive education of members on the ethical standards expected of them, regular reviews of Code of Conduct to ensure it remains relevant, and collaboration with external partners like NILDS to strengthen the ethical framework of the House. The issue of enforcement is critical, and the committee must have the support needed to recommend sanctions when necessary. In countries like United Kingdom, Canada, and Nigeria, ethics committees have the power to recommend disciplinary actions, including suspension of members who violate ethical codes or legislative, Our legislative framework must continue to evolve to ensure robust enforcement mechanisms. Despite the robust framework that exists for ethical conduct, there are significant challenges to the effective enforcement of the Code of Conduct and the immunities and privileges of members. One of the primary challenges is a potential conflict between the needs to protect the independence and privileges of members and the imperative to hold them accountable. Legislators must have immunity from prosecution for actions taken in the course of their official duties. While this is meant to protect them from external pressures, it can sometimes create an environment where ethical violations are difficult to address swiftly.
It is typically governed by strict eligibility criterion and procedures, and not all government officials or individuals representing Nigeria abroad may qualify for diplomatic passport status. Categories of individuals who may be issued diplomatic passport in Nigeria may include the following. Number one, diplomats and members of their families, spouses, are qualified to be issued a diplomatic passport. These categories include ambassadors, high commissioners, consul generals, envoys, representative of government officials at diplomatic level, international organizations, and so on. The other category is government officials, from the president to the vice president to the Senate president to high-ranking government officials as approved by Mr. President. We have a long list of government officials that in that category of eligibility list of those who are qualified to have a diplomatic passport. The other category is security personnel who are also assigned for diplomatic assignments, sometimes peacekeeping, and becoming defense attachés to our embassies are also qualified for this passport. The other category is special envoys and representatives, individuals appointed by government to represent Nigeria in specific diplomatic missions or negotiations may be issued diplomatic passport for duration of their assignment. We also have what we call the honorary consuls, those who are appointed to serve the interests of other countries in the area of business and trade, who are not career diplomats. They also be issued a diplomatic passport.
The task of the leaders is to get their people from where they are to where they've not been. How do we hold our leaders accountable in the business of lawmaking and representation?
The mandate that you have given to us is not abuse in any way.
The primary purpose of government is to ensure the welfare and security of the Nigerian people.
The constituency project had noble intentions, and they still remain the most veritable tool.
Do they really know their representatives at the states and national assemblies?
Our people, they don't have water, they are suffering. They only drink water from where rain fall.
For the current one, the 10th assembly, I don't really know who is in charge.
From the mountaintops to the deepest valleys, we're ready to go an extra mile just to show Nigerian your constituency project. Know your representative with Maria, bridging the visible gap.
To the glory of God.
The Director General of National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, Professor Abubakar Sulaiman, has been honored with a fellowship from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN. Professor Sulaiman was one of the 3 distinguished Nigerians recognized with honorary fellowship awards during ICSAN's 48th Annual Conference Dinner and Awards, themed Reassessing the Governance Dynamics in Nigeria's Transition to Enduring Development and National Prosperity. While presenting the award, Mrs. Fumi Ekundayo, President and Chairman of Council, highlighted that this achievement represents the highest level of professional membership, but stressed it should be viewed as a stepping stone for further development. She emphasized that the honor opens the door to continuous learning and capacity building through various programs and initiatives.
For any professional institute, the admittance of deserving members into the fellowship cadre is an important rite of passage which often comes with pomp and pageantry, as fellowship is the highest form of membership for most institutes. I therefore felicitate with our members who have been admitted as fellows today. It is not easy, it is not an easy feat at all to become a fellow of ICSAN, considering the several years of experience, unblemished record, as well as proven dedication to the institute that must be accomplished and established. To our incoming fellows, please note that this elevation comes also with higher responsibilities. As the institute has deemed it fit to accord you due recognition as fellows, the passion, the dedication, the commitment and allegiance to the institute that fellows should exhibit will be expected from you. Among other things, we would urge you to continue with active participation in all of the institute's programs, which include, as you know, the annual conference, the roundtable on corporate governance, the public lecture, governance practitioners day, and so on and so forth. We would also encourage you to continue with us, and passionately too, on the journey of collective contribution to the institute's growth, to the advancement of the profession, and also to the socio-economic advancement of our nation, Nigeria. We all need all hands on deck to achieve these goals.
Having passed the prescribed institute examination and having associates, having gotten the required practical experience for upgrade to fellowship, having satisfied their financial obligations to date, I want to confirm that today, I think I'm one of the luckiest chairman of membership committee. If you look at the number of professors that will be inducted today. They are men of high pedigree, men of integrity, and unquestionable passion for the institute. they have gone through the necessary process, and having satisfied the council or the institute with regard to their character and their positions, they are fit and proper persons to be elected fellows of the Great Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators. On that note, I, Sulaiman Oyedele Togude, FCIS, membership number 0856524, being the chairman of membership and branch liaison committee of our Great Institute, hereby present the following members for admission into fellowship grade of our Great Institute. I will start calling their names and they will be coming forward. Pledge allegiance to the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria to be faithful, loyal, dedicated, and to abide by the rules and regulations as laid down by the Act establishing the Institute in Nigeria. I further pledge to uphold the tenets, ethics, and integrity of the profession, and contribute my quota to the upliftment of the Institute. So help me God. Madam President,
I have the honor and privilege to confer on these great Nigerians the fellowship of our Institute, Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria. Congratulations.
I'm highly elated, and that is to show that some people are out there watching what I'm doing in terms of corporate governance, in terms of instilling good governance. I think it's just a fulfillment on my own side that ICSAN has recognized what we have done in the areas of good governance, the impacts we have made in terms of trying to deepen democracy and good governance in the country, and to a large extent in the areas of capacity enhancements of our staff, of Nigerians, of stakeholders in democracy, and most importantly the parliamentarians in the country, and that is where I excel. So such an endowment or fellowship or award has been conferred on me today is a testimony that at least people out there, they see and they appreciate. And what has happened today in terms of fellowship and award is not just on me or for me, it's for the entire National Assembly, it's for the democratic stakeholders in this country, and indeed for Nigerian people as a whole. So I dedicate it to Nigerian people as a whole.
The task of the leaders is to get their people from where they are to where they've not been. How do we hold our leaders accountable in the business of lawmaking and representation?
The mandate that you have given to us is not abuse in any way.
The primary purpose of government is to ensure the welfare and security of the Nigerian people.
The constituency project had noble intentions, and they still remain the most veritable tool.
Do they really know their representatives at the states and national assemblies?
Our people, they don't have water, they are suffering. They only drink water from where rain fall.
For the current one, the 10th assembly, I don't really know who is in charge.
From the mountaintops to the deepest valleys, we're ready to go an extra mile just to show Nigerian your constituency project. Know your representative with Maria, bridging the visible gap. Thank you for being a part of the program Know Your Representative with Maria. Join me same time next week as I bring you another interesting edition. For missed episodes, you can catch up on our YouTube page, My Base TV. Thanks for watching. I am Maria Olashende. Goodbye and God bless Nigeria.